This year, I guess corporate media is not really taking a break. In particular, CNN, they have been hit with a number of things. So is MSNBC. We've talked about the decline in ratings. But now, ladies and gentlemen, ABC News is in the spotlight. Believe it or not, I couldn't believe this story when it first came across my phone. I was like, there's no way this is real. No way. Okay. But apparently it was. Did you hear this? ABC News has been ordered to pay $15 million in a lawsuit against Donald Trump. Donald Trump sued ABC News for defamation, and apparently he won. Not only did he win, but he won big. $15 million. I had to double check the dollar amount because I was like, maybe it's 15,000 and I just misread, maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. I don't know. But they wanted to play this game. ABC News, they wanted to play this game. They want to try to throw in these smears there and there. And they said it was a slip of the tongue, but I don't think something's a slip of the tongue if you say it over and over and over again. I think it was deliberate. And now they're having to pay up. Let's go ahead and get into this clip here. Ladies and gentlemen, ABC News, $15 million.
Breaking news into CNN, ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos has reached a settlement with President-elect Donald Trump in his defamation suit. The lawsuit stemming from an interview that Stephanopoulos did with Congresswoman Nancy Mace, where he asserted Trump was found liable for rape in a civil case. The network will pay out $16 million as part of that settlement and have to issue an apology. CNN chief media analyst Brian Stelter joining me. And Brian, this is actually a lawsuit with ABC News, the network, and Stephanopoulos. What else can you tell us about this?
That's right. It's not every day that you hear about a major network, a TV network, paying millions of dollars and apologizing to the president-elect. So this is a headline with real ramifications. And as you said, it stems from an episode of George Stephanopoulos' Sunday morning news program, where he was talking with a lawmaker, I think it was Nancy Mace, and they were talking about the E. Jean Carroll case. And George Stephanopoulos repeatedly used the word rape, saying Trump was found guilty of rape.
Pause. So did you hear what Brian just said? Brian just told you he repeatedly used the word. So if you repeatedly say it, is it still considered a slip of the tongue? Which I didn't think it was a slip of the tongue either way. I think that they wanted really to punish like Donald Trump. Now, whether or not you believe Donald Trump is innocent or guilty in all of this, that's not what the lawsuit itself is about. It's about the vocabulary that was used. The fact that the word, we're going to say grape, how YouTube is, the fact that the word, grape was used instead of sexual assault. And some of you may be wondering, well, is there a difference between the two? There actually is. And I'll explain that to you in a second. But it was the word that was used that was considered to be problematic. I mean, maybe this will push ABC News to be a little bit more careful. I don't know. $15 million is a lot of money. I mean, that's not chump change. Granted, these networks have a lot of money, but still, that is a lot of money.
Of rape. Well, in fact, the accurate phrase to use is sexual abuse. That is what the New York court found. But because Stephanopoulos kept using that R word, rape, Trump filed a lawsuit. He filed a defamation suit. We've talked a lot in recent years about people using the courts trying to seek justice. Remember the Sandy Hook case against Alex Jones? Well, those defamation kinds of cases can also be filed by someone like the president-elect. So Trump filed a defamation suit. It was working its way through the courts. ABC was unable to get it thrown out initially. And actually, in the next few days, Trump was set to be deposed in the case. But ABC is avoiding going any further by settling. They're paying out $15 million plus $1 million in attorney's fees. They say this is going to go to a nonprofit, basically to Trump's future library. That's the idea. But maybe most importantly, Jessica, ABC is also apologizing, issuing a statement of regret. I'm just looking at my computer to get the exact wording here.
While he looks for the exact wording, I want to tell you something else that was interesting about this. The money is going to his library, a Donald Trump like library. So it's going towards a nonprofit. It's not even going in his pocket. So that's the other thing. People are like, oh, like he needs more money. It's not going to him. It's going to a nonprofit. And it's one of those things, again, like ABC decided to settle. So obviously they feel like, okay, we might not be able to win this. Let's just go ahead and settle it out and just do the damn thing. But what this also shows you is that once again, corporate media is getting another swift kick in the butt. And it also shows you that people can't trust corporate media. And look, no one's going to get it right all the time. I don't get everything right, but when I get it wrong, I will come back and make a correction. If I realize, oh, wait a minute, I messed something up, let me come back and say this. But what I've noticed a lot of times with corporate media is that they're not willing to do that, because most of the time it's not considered to be a mistake by them. They are trying to present a certain narrative to convince the viewers and to get their point across to them. But now with this particular lawsuit and the fact that they had to settle, I wonder if this is going to make more corporate media networks try to be a little bit more careful about the rhetoric or the vocabulary that they use when describing, certain, I guess, legal situations, because that's what this was about.
But ABC is going to say, basically attach an editor's note to the website saying it regrets, and George regrets the statements. Meanwhile, an ABC spokesperson tells me they are pleased to have reached this settlement, but it is very notable. They are both paying out money to the president-elect and apologizing for the misstatements on the air.
Certainly. And what else, Brian, does this tell us about the president-elect's possible strategy for dealing with the media going forward? We know he's very litigious.
One word comes to mind, the word emboldened. Trump and his team is going to be emboldened by this settlement by ABC, because rather than fight this out any further, rather than trying to go to trial, ABC is choosing to settle. What does that mean? Maybe that means ABC had embarrassing emails or text messages or other material that was going to make the network look bad. Remember, that's one of the reasons why Fox News settled against Dominion last year. Sometimes networks settle because they don't want to drag it out any further and get embarrassed in the court of public opinion. But regardless of ABC's rationale, and they won't say why exactly they decided to reach this settlement, it will embolden Trump and his allies, who, as you've said, have shown they want to use the courts in order to achieve certain outcomes they want. In this case, they believe justice is being done by holding ABC accountable. Others would say this is a form of lawfare where you're using the courts to tie up news outlets and embarrass them and cost them, in this case, millions of dollars. I'm really struck, Jessica, by the dollar figure, by the way, $16 million. That's a lot of money for any news outlet to be paying out. And that's going to have, I think, far-reaching ramifications.
I don't even think I've ever heard of a news outlet paying that much money. I can double check, but I don't even remember, even with the Fox News case, I don't remember them paying $15 million. So, oh boy.
CNN's Hadas Gold is here with us now to talk more about this settlement. What more are you learning, Hadas?
Well, Jessica, it's a significant concession for ABC and a victory for President-elect Trump, because he's actually had not many victories when it's come to litigation with the media. And so this is sort of a rare victory for him. Now, of those $16 million, $1 million is going to legal fees, and $15 million of that ABC won't actually be paying directly into Donald Trump's bank account, but they say it's going to go into something for a potential future presidential library of some kind for President Trump. So as you noted, what happened was this was an interview back in March with Congresswoman Nancy Mace, and George Stephanopoulos in that interview said 10 times that that a jury had found Trump had raped that writer E. Jean Carroll. Now, while the jury did find Trump liable for sexual abuse, he was not found liable for rape. A judge did say later that the claim that Trump raped Carroll was substantially true in the broader sense of the word, but not as defined by New York law. Now, Trump has denied all wrongdoing and is appealing that verdict. But now, because of this settlement between ABC News and Donald Trump, ABC is going to issue a statement stating their regret in the online article that showed this interview. And they also put out a statement saying that they are pleased that the parties have reached an agreement to dismiss the lawsuit on the terms in the court filing. Now, what's interesting is the timing of all this, because both President-elect Trump and George Stephanopoulos were supposed to sit for depositions related to this coming week. A judge had ruled that they needed to sit for deposition. So it's an interesting timing for this. As for why exactly ABC News chose to settle, because some experts in media law said that ABC News actually had a good chance when it came to this because of the high bar set for defamation in these sorts of cases, especially with a public figure. It is an uncomfortable situation, I imagine, to be a news organization having such a legal fight with the president-elect as he comes in for his second term.
So that's really interesting. Notice that she said that he used the word 10 times. So at that point, I would say it's not a slip of the tongue. If you use it 10 times, you meant what you said. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, and we'll get to the next clip about this as well. People not playing around. People not playing around. We already saw that Jay-Z went after Pierce Morgan, sent his lawyer after Pierce Morgan and said, Jaguar Wright says some things on your show about me that are incorrect and are false, and we want you to issue a statement of correction. And he did, and they removed the interview with Jaguar Wright. They removed that, at least that portion of that interview. People are not playing around. People are dishing out lawsuits. Because it's one thing that it can affect your character, et cetera. You know, whether you believe Trump is innocent or guilty or not. One of the things I will say is that I have seen a number of people saying, see, this proves that he's innocent. He didn't do anything. No, that's not what the lawsuit proves. The lawsuit was about the word that was used. And the word that George Stephanopoulos used was, of course, the R word. That was not what was found in the civil case. They're saying it was sexual abuse that was found in that case. So those are two different things. And I think people may not really understand that at that point in time, thinking that that's the same thing. Sometimes people use those words interchangeably, but it's really not the same thing. I looked up the definition of all three just to double check myself, right? So that does not mean that he did not do anything. And I think some people heard this news and they said, see, he didn't do anything. You don't know that. We don't know. The thing about these particular cases, whether it is sexual assault, sexual abuse, or grape, you know, it is very hard to have evidence. And sometimes people have been able to have evidence, but most of the time there isn't evidence that can be brought forward in court. So the jury basically has to decide, who do I feel is telling the truth? Is the witness, you know, credible? Is the person that filed the claim, does their story appear to be credible? And that's the thing with these particular cases, is that most of the time there isn't evidence. I want you to go into this clip here too, also on News Nation, as they talk to another individual about this as well. Listen to this.
Alex, will this have a chilling effect on the media, or is this denial that Stephanopoulos messed up in his language on his program?
Well, clearly Stephanopoulos messed up because he mischaracterized the verdict by saying that Trump was found liable for rape when, in fact, he was found liable for sexual assault. Big difference. And it was something that the judge in the case, Lewis Kaplan, clarified, that he pointed out explicitly that the New York Penal Code's definition of rape was far narrower than what Trump was found liable for. So certainly it was a mistake by Stephanopoulos. Now, does it rise to the level of a $15 million penalty? That's pretty steep. But I think what it does show is that media organizations aren't as confident as they were a decade ago. Even though the First Amendment is still there, public's perception of the media and journalists has gone down. Also, they don't really have the financial resources that they did a decade ago. It's a less financially stable industry than it was a decade ago. Clearly, less interested in waging a protracted legal battle with a very wealthy opponent. I think the other thing weighing on ABC's mind is that Dominion Voting Systems settlement against Fox News, $787 million. Yeah. You know, Fox decided to fight that out with Dominion over claims related to the 2020 election. Through the discovery process, a lot of embarrassing information, text messages came out. I think it's clear that ABC, while it may have had a pretty strong case in court to beat the lawsuit, Trump's lawsuit, they didn't want to go through the protracted battle that could have opened up a can of worms.
And there's also,
and I understand that. I understand where he's saying that, like, they may have had a strong case, but they didn't want to go through all that. Okay, I understand that. But $15 million is a lot of money. It's not chump change. I mean, that almost sounds insane that they're willing to pay that. And it also makes me wonder, like, what's going to happen to George Stephanopoulos? I bet you he'll still probably keep his job. You know, most companies, if you cost them $15 million, you probably wouldn't be working there anymore. Wink, wink. Let's continue on here.
Also CBS too, right? I mean, President-elect Trump is still suing CBS News for $10 billion for alleged dishonest reporting in its handling of Vice President Harris's 60-minute interview when we saw different clips being played. CBS says the interview was edited for timing. How do you see this settlement here with ABC affecting not just that case, but the media's overall coverage of President-elect Trump moving forward?
Well, my view is the suit against CBS isn't as strong because in journalism you have to make decisions about what's newsworthy, what's not newsworthy, what's worth the viewer's time and attention. So that's, I think, basic editorial decision making. Also, it doesn't impugn Trump in the same way that Stephanopoulos did by saying that he was found liable for rape. I mean, that's about as ugly a charge as there can be. So I think that Trump may have found more sympathy with the jury in terms of, providing a misleading interview about Kamala Harris based on editing decisions. That seems more of a coin flip. I'd be surprised if CBS settles, but given Trump's deep pockets, given that corporate ownership wants to stay on the Trump administration's good side, who knows?
Yeah.
I just want to pause here. And so what do you hear? You hear that he's also going after CBS. Listen, let me tell you, don't be playing with these people. Do not be playing. I'm going to tell you right now, Donald Trump is not playing around. Do not play with these. They will come after you. You better get your story straight. Get your story straight. Jesus Christ. Ashura just said, let me go ahead and pull this up as well. Fox paid $650 million to Dominion, Sabby. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of money. That's a lot. And then stop and think about it. How in the hell do these networks have that much money? So that tells you just how much money they've been able to accumulate over the years. That's insane. That's insane.
I'm going to ask you too, do you think there would have been a settlement with ABC here if Trump had just lost? Is this needing four more years of good favor, and is this kissing the ring?
That's a great question. I don't think there would have been a settlement had Kamala Harris won the White House. And I think you can't forget ABC News is owned by Walt Disney Company. That's a major company that, of course, is going to have business before the new Trump administration. The Trump administration will control or have influence over all elements of FCC law and regulation. And then the other thing here is that, look, ABC needs to be able to cover the president-elect. And if they have such a bad relationship, it makes that job more difficult. So
thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to.
All right. And so I did see this comment as well that George Stephanopoulos may have deleted his Twitter account. That would not surprise me. I just looked up on Twitter. I don't see him on there. I don't know. So maybe George may have had to bow out. Okay. Maybe George may have had to bow out, but that is not a good look. And we've talked about this before about these media companies. Like I said, some of these people are not playing around. Some people are going to come after you if you tell lies about them. So like I said, the players, they want to play, but sometimes if you don't win the game, maybe you need to stop playing. The question I have for all of you, though, do you think that this is going to put more pressure on corporate media to be more careful when they're discussing legal cases? I don't know, but it's something to think about there. And then this is something else that I wanted to mention just about the definition, and I'll bring this up here as well. There's a difference between rape and sexual assault. And just briefly, so that people understand, because again, a lot of times the terms are used interchangeably. So of course it says, I don't know why this thing is here. Get out of my way. Come back this way. Rape is the commission of non-consensual sexual intercourse against an individual by way of physical force or the use of threats or drugs. Sexual assault is defined as causing another individual to be subjected to sexual contact without consent. So I know sometimes, again, like I said, they're used interchangeably, but they do have different definitions. Crazy times, ladies and gentlemen, crazy times. And I know I'd said 2024 was going to be wild. 2025 is going to be live. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.